Hi, I'm Chris Frame and welcome back to my channel. For the first time in history, the entire global fleet of cruise ships have ceased trading and entered into a state of warm layup. With the world's major cruise operators pausing their cruising activities for the foreseeable future, most cruise ships have had no passengers on board for many weeks. I have made a number of videos exploring how the situation has unfolded and have linked these in the description and the info card on the screen. So if you'd like to watch those for context, please do. In a report published on the 7th of May, the Miami Herald estimated that around 100,000 crew members remained on board the world's fleet of cruise ships, many of whom are not required for the ongoing mechanical and navigational operation of the ship. This is a very high number, and it's especially difficult for those crew who are away from their loved ones and friends during this very uncertain time. There has been a lack of certainty around when the cruise pause will end, as well as changing information about when and how the crew will be able to return home. This is really awful for those on board, and it has undoubtedly caused a lot of distress for anyone affected, which has led to some distressing situations which have been highlighted in the media recently. There has been an increased urgency to speed up the disembarkation of non-essential personnel from the ships and help them to return home. But repatriating such a huge number of people during a global pandemic has proved to be no easy feat, and it has never been attempted at this scale before. Countries around the world have closed their borders to international travellers, meaning it is difficult, and in some cases impossible, for cruise ships to receive clearance to dock and disembark their crew. This is despite the vast majority of cruise ships being clear of any COVID-19 infections. In fact, the cruise ships have been in layup for well over the incubation period for coronavirus. So with no new passengers or crew joining these ships for many weeks, there is little risk of any COVID-19 outbreak aboard a laid-up cruise ship. Another major hurdle that the cruise ships and their crew have faced is the current unusual location of some of the ships. As some nations have barred cruise ships from docking or anchoring in their waters, it has made it extremely difficult for crew to depart the vessel. This has led to locally based cruise ships sailing far from their home ports, meaning the cruise line's normal crew transfer procedures can't be followed. One such example is the huge cluster of ships in Manila Bay in the Philippines. These vessels have come from a variety of lines, but notably, almost the entire Australian domestic fleet of cruise ships are now at anchor in Manila Bay due to the Australian cruise ban. Ships include the P&O Australia fleet of Pacific Explorer, Pacific Dawn and Pacific Aria, as well as Carnival Spirit and Carnival Splendor, and Cunard's Queen Elizabeth, all of which were based in Australia year-round or for extended periods of many months. This displacement of these ships from their usual cruising location, coupled with border closures, meant that the crew who serve aboard these ships have had to stay with their relatively idle vessels for weeks now. In the United Kingdom, cruise ships have been welcomed back to local British waters. Ships of the Cunard, P&O UK, Fred Olsen and CMV fleets, for example, returned to local waters throughout March and April and disembarked passengers as well as many non-essential crew. These vessels are now laid up, awaiting an end to the cruise pause. This unprecedented situation has offered some spectacular sights for onlookers, with much of the P&O and Cunard fleet anchored together off Weymouth on the south coast of England. Most of CMV's fleet is docked in Tilbury near London, and Fred Olsen ships are at anchor off Edinburgh in Scotland. Meanwhile, cruise ships which had received clearance faced a further problem due to the collapse of international air travel. COVID-19 has impacted all aspects of global transport, meaning it is often very difficult to secure passage on international flights to repatriate the crew. While some flights do remain in operation, the array of global connections available in the pre-COVID world simply does not exist today, making some locations difficult, if not impossible, to connect to via air. This, in conjunction with ongoing border closures, has left the crew in limbo. In response, some cruise lines have taken to using their own ships to return their crew home, often requiring them to sail thousands of kilometres from their usual base of operations. Recently, in waters off the Bahamas, 18 Carnival ships met to transfer crew, with ships sailing to a variety of international destinations on repatriation voyages. This led to rare visits being made at ports around the world, including Carnival Breeze calling at Southampton, Carnival Magic visiting the UK and Europe, Carnival Dream heading to South Africa, and Carnival Fascination sailing to India. Additionally, Italian-based Costa Mediterranea is en route on a voyage from Italy to Asia in order to repatriate Costa crew to various Asian countries. Royal Caribbean and its subsidiary Celebrity Cruises recently commenced their own repatriation voyages, with a large cluster of cruise ships recently meeting at Coco Cay, RCI's private island in the Bahamas, in order to transfer crew to various ships for global repatriation. Many of you have asked in the comments of previous videos about the Disney fleet. In the United States, Disney Dream recently docked with European crew transferred to specially chartered flights that departed from Miami International Airport. Her fleet mate, Disney Fantasy, is at sea undertaking repatriation voyages in the Caribbean, while Disney Magic is in Dover on a voyage to return UK and European crew. There are 300 cruise ships in operation today, and as such it's not possible to cover every crew repatriation voyage, but I hope this video gives you some indication as to the scale of the effort that's underway. Cruising forms a vital part of the global economy. The Cruise Lines International Association advises that cruise ships transported 28.5 million passengers in 2019, creating 1.177 million jobs and contributing $50.24 billion in wages. So the return of cruising once the current coronavirus crisis passes is vital for the employment of those who make their living at sea or rely on the cruise industry for their income. But at this critical time, the health and well-being of the crew is of paramount importance. So please spare a thought for those who have been away from their loved ones during this difficult time. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. If you're interested in more cruising news, check out my cruise news playlist. Or if you'd like to learn about maritime history, check out my video about the remarkable maiden voyage of the RMS Queen Elizabeth. Thanks again for watching, and when we are able to cruise again, I hope to see you on board.